When most people think about World War II, they imagine tanks rolling across Europe, bombers filling the skies, warships crossing the Atlantic, and soldiers storming the beaches of Normandy. Few people think about economics, yet economics may have been the most important battlefield of the entire war. Long before American soldiers landed in Europe, long before Pearl Harbor, and long before Adolf Hitler launched his invasions across the continent, and the foundations of Allied victory were already being built. To understand how, we must travel back to the year 1776. That year, a Scottish philosopher named Adam Smith published The Wealth of Nations, a book that would become one of the most influential works ever written. Smith challenged centuries of economic thinking and proposed a revolutionary idea. A nation's true wealth does not come from gold, silver, or conquered territory. Wealth comes from productivity. Wealth comes from the ability of ordinary people to create goods, provide services, innovate, and improve efficiency. According to Smith, the most prosperous nations would be those capable of producing more than their rivals. At first glance, this might not seem connected to World War II, but as we will discover, Smith's ideas became part of the economic DNA of the United States. Throughout the 19th century, America transformed from a young republic into an industrial giant. Railroads connected distant regions, factories multiplied, steel production expanded, oil fields fueled economic growth. Entrepreneurs created entirely new industries. The principles of specialization and productivity that Smith described began appearing everywhere. A worker no longer needed to build an entire product from start to finish. Instead, each worker focused on a specific task, dramatically increasing output. Smith famously used the example of a pin factory to demonstrate this concept. A single worker making pins alone could produce only a few each day, but when labor was divided into specialized tasks, production increased enormously. This simple observation would eventually shape modern industry. By the early 20th century, American factories had perfected these ideas. Companies such as Ford transformed manufacturing through assembly lines. Production became faster, cheaper, and more efficient. Millions of Americans entered industrial employment. The United States became the largest economy on Earth. Yet in the 1930s, everything appeared to be falling apart. The Great Depression devastated economies around the world. American unemployment reached approximately 25%. Thousands of banks collapsed, businesses closed, families lost homes and savings. For many observers, capitalism itself appeared broken. Meanwhile, authoritarian governments in Europe promised alternative solutions. Fascism grew in Germany and Italy. Militarism expanded in Japan as dictatorships prepared for war. Few people realized that the industrial foundations built during previous decades would soon become America's most powerful weapon. By the late 1930s, Germany appeared unstoppable. Adolf Hitler had rebuilt the German military and challenged the post-World War I order. Across Europe, leaders watched with concern as Germany expanded its influence. Yet beneath the military parades and political speeches, a different contest was developing. It was a contest of factories, workers, engineers, resources, transportation networks, and industrial capacity. Adam Smith had argued more than 150 years earlier that productive power ultimately determines the strength of nations. World War II would become the greatest test of that theory. What made the United States different from nearly every other nation involved in World War II was not simply its size, it was its ability to recover, adapt, and innovate. During the 19th and early 20th centuries, American industry became a laboratory for new ideas. Inventors, entrepreneurs, and engineers transformed the way products were made. Thomas Edison revolutionized electricity. Henry Ford transformed manufacturing. Andrew Carnegie expanded steel production to unprecedented levels. These individuals were not military leaders, yet the systems they helped create eventually become essential to victory in World War II. By the 1930s, despite the hardships of the Great Depression, the United States possessed an industrial foundation that no other nation could match. American steel mills produced enormous quantities of metal. Railroads connected every major region of the country. Rivers and ports supported transportation networks capable of moving massive amounts of cargo. Universities trained engineers and scientists. Private companies constantly searched for ways to improve efficiency and reduce costs. These developments reflected principles Adam Smith described more than a century earlier. Productivity was not merely an economic advantage, it was becoming a strategic asset. While Germany focused heavily on military expansion during the 1930s, America continued building industrial capacity. New factories emerged, new technologies appeared, production methods improved. Although few people realized it at the time, these developments would eventually influence battlefields thousands of miles away. Every improvement in manufacturing would later help produce aircraft, ships, trucks, and weapons. Every advancement in transportation would later help move troops and supplies across oceans. Every innovation would eventually become part of the Allied war effort. The irony is that many dictators throughout history believed military strength alone determined national power. Adam Smith argued something very different. He believed lasting strength came from productive societies capable of generating wealth through innovation and labor. World War II would become one of the greatest demonstrations of that principle. When Germany invaded Poland in September 1939, the world witnessed the terrifying effectiveness of blitzkrieg. German forces moved with speed and coordination rarely seen before. Poland fell quickly, Denmark fell, Norway fell, Belgium fell, the Netherlands fell. France collapsed in only 6 weeks. To many observers, Nazi Germany appeared unstoppable. Hitler possessed one of the most powerful military machines in history. German tanks dominated battlefields. The Luftwaffe controlled the skies. German soldiers gained a reputation for discipline and effectiveness. Yet beneath the surface, Germany faced a problem that Adam Smith would have immediately recognized. Germany's economy was not built for prolonged global conflict. The country lacked sufficient oil reserves. It lacked many critical raw materials. It depended heavily on conquered territories to obtain resources. Every military victory increased Germany's responsibilities. More territory required more occupation forces. Longer supply lines required more fuel. Greater ambitions required greater production. Meanwhile, something extraordinary was happening across the Atlantic. Although officially neutral, the United States possessed an industrial capacity unlike anything the world had ever seen. In 1940, President Franklin Roosevelt famously described America as the arsenal of democracy. This was not political rhetoric, it was a statement of economic reality. American factories began producing weapons not only for the United States, but also for allied nations through programs such as Lend-Lease. Britain received aircraft, the Soviet Union received trucks, allies received food, fuel, and equipment. The numbers remain astonishing. During the war, American industry produced approximately 300,000 military aircraft, 88,000 tanks, more than 2 million military trucks, and thousands of naval vessels. At one point, American shipyards were launching Liberty ships at a pace that stunned the world. Some shipyards completed entire vessels in less than a week. Historians often focus on famous generals, but factories became just as important as armies. Every Sherman tank rolling across Europe represented thousands of workers. Every bomber flying over Germany represented an enormous industrial network. Every Allied advance depended upon a supply system powered by economic strength. Adam Smith had argued that productive capacity determines national power. World War II was proving him correct. One of Smith's most important ideas involved specialization. During World War II, this concept operated on a national scale. One factory specialized in engines, another produced steel, another manufactured tires, another assembled aircraft. Transportation networks connected every stage of production. Millions of workers performed highly specialized tasks that collectively generated extraordinary output. The result was efficiency on a scale the Axis powers struggled to match. By the time America entered the war after Pearl Harbor, the foundations of victory were already being built. Hitler had armies, America had factories, and increasingly, those factories were becoming the decisive factor in the conflict. As Germany expanded across Europe, many observers focused on the speed of its victories. Newspapers reported dramatic battlefield successes. Military analysts praised blitzkrieg tactics. The world watched German forces conquer territory at an astonishing pace. Yet territorial conquest created a hidden problem. Every new victory increased Germany's logistical burden. More territory meant more roads to defend, more railways to maintain, more populations to control. and more resources to transport. Meanwhile, American industry faced a different challenge: how to produce on a scale never before attempted. The answer came through organization, specialization, and mass production. Factories that once produced refrigerators began manufacturing military equipment. Automobile plants shifted toward tanks and trucks. Consumer industries transformed into wartime industries. Millions of civilians became part of the war effort without ever firing a weapon. One remarkable example was the Liberty Ship program. These cargo vessels became the backbone of Allied logistics. They carried fuel, food, ammunition, vehicles, and supplies across dangerous oceans patrolled by enemy submarines. Before the war, constructing a ship could take many months. During the war, American shipyards reduced production times dramatically. Some ships were assembled in a matter of days. The achievement shocked observers around the world and demonstrated the power of industrial specialization. German military planners often underestimated this capability. They measured strength through divisions, tanks, and aircraft. What they failed to appreciate was the ability of the United States to replace losses faster than any nation in history. The true battlefield advantage was not simply possessing weapons, it was possessing the ability to continuously produce more of them. Following the attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941, the United States entered World War II directly. The challenge was enormous. America would need to fight in both Europe and the Pacific simultaneously. Troops would require transportation across oceans. Allies would require supplies. Military operations would demand unprecedented quantities of equipment. Yet rather than weakening under this burden, the American economy expanded even further. Factories operated day and night. Production lines rarely stopped. Entire communities became connected to the war effort. Citizens purchased war bonds, workers accepted longer hours, engineers developed new technologies, businesses coordinated with government agencies to maximize efficiency. The result was a level of national mobilization unmatched in modern history. As the war progressed, the economic gap between the Allies and the Axis powers became impossible to overcome. The United States produced more aircraft than Germany and Japan combined. American shipyards launched vessels faster than enemy submarines could sink them. Fuel supplies remained abundant. Transportation networks functioned effectively. Industrial output continued growing despite the immense demands of global warfare. Adam Smith emphasized that economic systems thrive when individuals pursue productive activity within a framework that encourages innovation and efficiency. World War II demonstrated the strategic value of these ideas. America's economic structure allowed rapid adaptation. New technologies entered production quickly. Manufacturing processes improved continuously. Resources moved where they were most needed. This flexibility became a major advantage. The D-Day invasion of June 1944 provides a powerful example. The operation required thousands of ships, countless vehicles, enormous quantities of fuel, millions of tons of supplies, and extensive logistical coordination. Such an undertaking would have been impossible without the industrial strength supporting it. Behind every soldier landing on the beaches of Normandy stood an economic system capable of sustaining the operation. The same principle applied across the Pacific. Aircraft carriers, bombers, naval vessels, and logistical networks depended upon industrial output. Military victories reflected not only tactical excellence but also economic capacity. The ability to produce, transport, repair, and replace equipment consistently gave Allied forces a tremendous advantage. By 1945, Germany and Japan faced overwhelming pressure. Their economies struggled under sustained military operations and strategic bombing campaigns. Resources became scarce. Production declined. Meanwhile, American industry continued operating at extraordinary levels. The war had become a contest not only of armies, but also of factories, workers, engineers, and economic systems. In that contest, the United States possessed advantages that proved decisive. Perhaps nowhere was America's economic advantage more visible than in the skies above Europe. Strategic bombing campaigns required thousands of aircraft operating simultaneously. Every bomber required engines, fuel, spare parts, maintenance crews, pilots, navigators, and support personnel. Replacing combat losses demanded an enormous industrial system, operating continuously. Yet American factories continued delivering aircraft in extraordinary numbers. The same pattern emerged at sea. The Pacific Ocean became one of the largest theaters of war in human history. Distances were immense. Supplying troops required fleets of cargo ships, tankers, transports, and naval escorts. Every operation depended upon logistics. Every advance required supplies. Every victory depended upon production. The ability to sustain military operations across vast oceans became one of America's greatest strengths. Even Soviet victories on the Eastern Front benefited from American economic power. Through the Lend-Lease program, the Soviet Union received hundreds of thousands of vehicles, locomotives, industrial materials, food supplies, and equipment. Historians continue debating the exact impact of this assistance, but there is little doubt that it strengthened Allied capabilities. Economic production in American factories influenced battles occurring thousands of miles away. As the war entered its final stages, Germany faced a challenge it could not solve. Even when German engineers designed impressive weapons, production limitations prevented them from matching Allied output. Innovation alone was not enough. Production capacity ultimately determined what could be fielded in large numbers. Once again, Adam Smith's central insight proved relevant. Productivity creates power. When World War II ended in 1945, much of Europe lay in ruins. Germany had been defeated, Japan had surrendered, the Axis powers had fallen. Historians continued debating military strategies, battlefield decisions, and political leadership. But one fact remains undeniable. The United States entered the war as the world's largest industrial economy and emerged as the dominant global superpower. The war was won by brave soldiers. It was won by brilliant commanders. It was won by courageous civilians. But it was also won by an economic system capable of producing more ships, more aircraft, more vehicles, more fuel, more food, and more supplies than any rival in history. Nearly 170 years earlier, Adam Smith described the forces that make nations prosperous. He could never have imagined aircraft carriers, strategic bombers, or global supply chains. Yet his central idea proved remarkably accurate. The most powerful weapon in World War II was not a tank. It was not a battleship. It was not a bomber. It was the productive power of an economy built upon innovation, specialization, and the ability of millions of people to work together toward a common goal. The story of World War II is often told through battlefield heroics and military strategy. Yet behind every victory stood a factory. Behind every aircraft stood an engineer. Behind every ship stood thousands of workers. Behind every military operation stood an economy capable of sustaining it. And when the greatest conflict in human history demanded unprecedented resources, the United States demonstrated exactly what Adam Smith had argued centuries earlier. Nations become powerful not because of what they possess, but because of what they can produce. That may be the most overlooked lesson of World War II, and perhaps the greatest legacy of the wealth of nations.